Again, review from Unit 8. Simplify each product. Simplify each product. Number 1, 2x parentheses x plus 5. All right, what are we doing right here? Is this addition or multiplication?
Multiplication.
Okay, when multiplying like bases, what do we do with the exponents?
Distribute.
Okay, we distribute here, but what do we do with the exponents? Add them. All right, so what's 2x times 1x?
2x squared.
2x, and why is it squared? Because they both have a power of 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2x squared. Does that make sense? Yes.
And because there's a variable next to the coefficient, would I distribute the variable with 5 or no?
And this, yes, so 2 times 5 is
10.
10. And is there an x here to add? No, so the x just stays there, 10x.
Okay.
Technically, there is an x here. Does anybody know what it is? X to the x to the first isn't there, but x to the
Third.
0, because x to the 0 is equivalent to what? 1. And 5 times 1 is 5. So technically, there is an x there. We just don't write it. Yes?
I said 0.
Oh, yes. All right.
How many points you guys scored this season?
Okay. Gentlemen, please stop. 2x squared plus 10x. Do we remember this from Unit 8? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, phones put away, please. 3w squared parentheses 5 plus 7w. All right, what's this math word called again where I do this?
Distribute.
Distribute. And I multiply the coefficients and I add the exponents. All right. What's 3w squared times 5?
15w squared.
15w squared. Now kids will say, well, they're not like terms. Do you need them to be like terms when you're multiplying? No, in order to add the exponents, you need to have like bases. But you can multiply 3 times 5 and attach the w squared at the end. All right, plus, right here when we multiply, 3 times 7, 21. And then w squared or w cubed? Where did the cube come from?
The 1 exponent on the w.
There's a 1 right there. All right. Now on the test, when they ask us to write this in standard form, would I get this wrong? If it did say write in standard form, which I didn't hear, but I do want us to do it here. If it did say whenever you're doing these, write them in standard form, would this be correct?
No.
No, how would I write it?
21w cubed plus 15w.
What's the degree? 3, that means it's cubic. How many terms? 2, which means it's a binomial. No, you do not. I was just asking. No, you do not. I was just asking.
In the test, would you want us to switch it?
On the test, I'd like you to switch it. Do you have to label it only if being asked on the test? Number 3, 2x cubed minus x plus 2, close parentheses, and out here it's a 4x to the 5th. Does it matter
No, it doesn't.
that it's at the end?
Nope.
It does not. So if you'd like, you can put it at the beginning if your eyes process it better, or you can leave it and just distribute like this. Are you guys okay if we leave and distribute?
No.
If you don't like it, then rewrite it. All right. Here I have 4 times 2 is 8x to the, okay, there's an x5 here and an x3 here to the what?
8.
8. And then here, there's a coefficient of 1, so negative 1 times 4 is what?
-4x.
Negative 4. And x to the, did I hear 5th? I heard 6. Then why is it 6?
Because it's plus 1.
There's a 1 there, and 5 plus 1 is 6. And then here, 4 times 2 is 8x to the 5th. Before I go any further, do you guys remember this? Yes, while I answer that, I'm going to write number 4 down and you can write it down with me. Hello, Mrs. Torres. Hey, how you doing? Ooh, that would, oh. Yes, if you don't mind. That bacon. Is that whatever you usually get? The one you get. I love you too. Bye. Yes.
On the other hand, don't you have to multiply the exponent for 5 and 3?
You never multiply exponents, you add the exponents.
Which would be 8x to the 8.
It is.
No, on the last one.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no x here. So there is an x, remember it's x to the 0. But if there's no x there, it's just x 5. You're not, I'm not sure where you would get 8.
Oh, okay.
Does that
I
make
thought
sense?
you did the 4x to the 5th times 2 first.
Yeah, 4 times 2 is 8. And then x5 and no x, the x just stays x5.
Okay, but you put it in standard form.
8, 6, 5. Yes, it's in standard form. Yeah. Okay, next one. When I distribute, I'm going to distribute here and then here. There's a lot of pieces here, so be careful. What's negative 3 times positive 7?
Negative 21.
Negative 21. Now, x4 or x3? X to the 4th or x to the 3rd? X to the 3rd?
Yeah.
Do we all agree?
No, 4th.
Why is it 4th?
Because I didn't see a 3 or 1 there.
There's a 1 there and a 3 there. Do you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? All right, Adam, give me the next one. Y2 and Y1 gives me y to the 3rd. And all of that is just one term. Do you see that? Negative 21, x to the 3rd. I'm sorry, x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right, last piece. Negative 3 times 4 is negative. And then x1, and there's no x over here. So does that just stay x to the 1st or just x?
Just X.
Just x. And then y2 and y1 make what?
6.
Y to the 3rd. Okay. Questions on this review? Okay. Factor each polynomial. What? Okay, this is more review from that same unit. This is where kids started to struggle really bad, so make sure, again, you're paying attention, you're doing your work. Don't slack off because you're going to struggle on the test. Okay, factor. I'm going to put in parentheses up here. It will not tell you every single time which method, but this method is using what?
Greatest common factor.
Good. GCF stands for greatest common factor. What's the largest number that goes into 18 and 27? 9. Do they both have an A in common?
No.
If they do not both have an A in common, can I take out a variable? So is it only 9 that I'm factoring out? There are times where it's just a variable, sometimes where it's just a constant, and sometimes where it's both a variable and a constant. In this case, it's just the constant. 9 times what is 18A? 2A. Plus 9 times what is 27? Now, do you guys remember what you always look for in here? If there's still a GCF. If there's still a GCF, your GCF was not big enough. Is there still a GCF?
No.
Then this is your right answer. Oh, and that there's 2 terms. Are there 2 terms?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Questions on that one? All right. 14 x cubed minus 42x squared plus 21x. How many terms here? 3. So when I factor, there should be 3 terms on the inside as well. All right, parentheses. 14, 42, and 21. Can anybody eyeball it? What goes into all those? 7. All right, do they all have an x?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, before we go further, do you guys all agree that 7 goes into all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, do they all have an x? What, do you guys remember which one I take? The cube, the squared, or the x to the 1?
Oh.
I take the larger or smallest exponent?
Smallest. Or large.
I take the smallest. Why? Because the smallest is the most that they have in common. This one has 1, this one has 2, this one has 3. How much do they have in common? Just that 1. It'll never be larger than your smallest exponent. Got it? All right, 7 times what is 14? 2. X to what power so that when I put this with this, I get 3? What? 2. 1 plus 2 is 3, yes or no? All right, 7 times what is 42? 6. X, what's my power here so that when I add, I get 2? A 1. Do you need to write the power of 1? All right, plus 7 times what is 21? 3. And I often have kids do this. Why is that wrong? Because x times x is x squared. And is that an x squared?
No.
No. Am I supposed to put that x there? No. 7x times 3 is 21x. The x is already taken care of. That there is your answer. Are there 3 terms like we started with?
Yeah.
Is there still a GCF between 2, 6, and 3?
No.
X squared, x, and no x. Do they all have an x in common? No, this last guy does not because it's been taken out. Questions on that one? Okay, number 3. 7y cubed z to the 4th minus 15yz squared. Okay, why do people freak out with this one? Because they're like, oh, no GCF, I'm done. Is there a common factor between 7 and 15? No. But what did I say earlier? Will there always be a constant? Are there some times where there are only a variable? Is that problem?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, let's look at the y's first. Y3 and y to the first, which one's bigger? I'm sorry, smaller.
That one is.
Which one's that one?
Y to the first.
Okay, so y to the first. And then z4 and z squared, which one do I take? Z to the 4th or z to the 2nd? Because I always take the larger or smaller? Smaller exponents. Y1 is smaller than y to the 3rd, and 2 is smaller than 4. All right, there's a 1 here. 1 times what is 7? 7, right? 7. And then y1, y to what power to make it to the 3rd? 2?
Yeah.
Yes or no? And then z squared, z to what power to make it to the 4th? 2. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Minus 1 times what is the 15?
15.
Now the y1 is already y1 and z squared is already z squared. Do I put any y's or z's
No,
next to the
absolutely.
15?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not is correct. All right, 2 things we look for. Are there 2 terms like we started with? Yes?
Yeah.
Is there still a like term in here? Or, I'm sorry, GCF. Is there still a GCF in here? No, so we're good. All right, I'm going to let you try this next one on your own. 4x cubed plus 12x plus 4. You're trying that one on your own. Go quickly. And then check it with the person sitting next to you when you were done.
This was. So in this one, you have this answer because you moved that to this side.
Mm-hmm.
But I got this answer because I just kept it there.
I left it there when I did mine.
Ow.
3 plus 5 is 8.
No, but don't you do that one first?
Oh, you just flipped it around then.
Yeah, because you kept it on that side. So you do that one first, then that one, then that one. So
Then you have the same answer as me, just with a different order.
yeah,
That's fine.
okay.
But if it's in standard form, then it has to
Then you have
be.
to change it.
Yeah. All right, yes,
I have
yes.
on a problem.
Okay, you're gonna have to hold on then. All right, what's my, let me get there. I think I'm going to get there. I think I know what your question is. All right, what's the GCF here? 4? Any variables or just 4? Why not an X if there's an X there and an X there? There's no X over there. Can you open the door for him, please? One of you in the back. Thank you. All right, that leaves me with X cubed plus what? Plus 3X plus nothing because it's gone? Am I done like this? Plus 1. If I forget that plus 1, is it wrong?
Yeah.
How can I tell it's wrong? How many terms here?
3.
How many terms should I have here?
3.
And I only have 2 plus 1. All right, questions?
I didn't get it for you now because
That's okay.
I just wasn't sure if you would like it or
Is
not.
that that pizza thing?
No, it's not. Yeah, the bread's nice. It's crispy.
Thank you. All right, are we good? Yes? Okay. Moving on. Number 5. 32 z to the 4th minus 80 z to the 3rd plus 112 z to the 2nd. Now there's a reason I picked these big numbers because when you're doing them on your own, sometimes it's a little harder to figure out. So at least try to figure out your GCF. Anybody tell me at least a number that goes into 32, 80, and 112?
8.
8? Okay, did I hear somebody say 4? Yeah. Okay. I guessed 4 when I did it with my other class. I heard 8 first, so I'm going to try the 8, and we'll see if the 4 would have worked, if the 8 works, or if we need something bigger. All right. Z to what power? 4, 3, 2. Z to what power? Larger exponent or smaller? Come on, guys. 2. All right, let's do this quickly. 8 times what is 32? 4. Z to what power? 2. Minus 8 times what is 80?
10.
10. Z to the
Delete it.
first. Just leave it as correct. Plus, anybody know 8 times what is 112? Anybody have that?
13.
112 divided by 8 is what?
14.
14. And 14z or just 14?
14.
Z squared, Z squared, just 14? All right, before you move on, how many terms?
That's 3.
How many terms did we start with?
3.
How do I know it's wrong?
Because there's another greater common factor.
There's still a GCF. Should there still be a GCF? No, there should not be. What is the GCF in here still? And what do we do to find the real GCF? We take the 2 with the 8 and we multiply. What's 8 times 2?
16.
So 16z squared is the true GCF. Guys, you should not be packing up. You should not be packing up. All right, we still have 5 minutes, so please. Shh. Okay, so I'm crossing this out. 16 times what is 32?
42.
No, you're ahead of me. 16 times 2? 2z squared. The z squared staying the same, right? 16 times what is 80? Anybody know it? 5? And then z squared, so this will be z to make the z cubed, plus 112 divided by 16 is
4.
7. All right, now, is this one that you would have looked at right away and said, oh, it's 16? That's why I give you the big numbers, not necessarily. Nathan, you said you would have guessed 4. Now, if I had guessed 4 to begin with, which I've done before, would I still end up that there's a GCF? And 4 times 4 is still the 16. So will you still get the correct answer at the end? All right, you're still not packing up because this next one is on the test, and I want everybody paying attention. So the one that you guys were asking, it may look something like this, yes or no? Not like this at all?
Oh wait, yes.
Okay.
6?
Yes. Guys, on the test, everybody listening, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Taking a look. First off, ladies, I need you listening. Let's figure out how many terms do I have here. It looks like 3, but it's really how many terms? 2 terms. That's my first term. That's my second term. My second term has the product of 2 binomials, but it's still 1 term. Terms are held together with plus or minus signs. So how many terms here? 2. Okay, what's the first term? X plus 3 squared. What's the second term? Or what's in the second term?
Pardon the interruption. All track and field students that are leaving for Central, please report to the bus.
What's in the second term? X plus 7 and X plus 3.
All
Yes?
students leaving for track and
Okay.
field to Central,
Guys, I need you listening.
please report to the bus in the front of the school by the tennis court. Thank you.
Okay. What factor do the 2 terms have in common? What factor do the 2 terms have in common?
3.
The X plus 3. Do you see that? Yes?
Yeah.
So the X plus 3 is coming out. And what is left over? I'm going to show you, and then we're going to see if it makes sense. One more X. Please stop the packing up. Okay, hurry up. Go. Okay. X plus 3 and X plus 3, when I multiply those together, would it be quantity squared? Yes or no? Minus, if I took the X plus 3 out, what am I left with? X plus 7. I will tell you this. In higher level math classes, you would not leave your answer like this. You do not leave these nested parentheses. You would clean it up. But in this class, we leave it like this and we're done. If it did not make sense, we're going to try one more and then answer questions. Please write it down with me. All right, write it down with me. How many terms here? 2. Do you see that there's 2 terms? What factor do the 2 terms have in common? Okay, so I take X plus 7 out in parentheses, brackets, and then if I took one of them out, how many are left in? X plus 7 to what power? 2, because the 2 and the 1 would make the third. Do you see that? Well, over here it was the 1 and the 1 that made the 2. Yes? 1 and 2 make the 3. 1 and 1 make the 2. Plus, if I took the X plus 7 out, I'm only left with the what? X minus 4. And that there is your answer. Questions?